Guys, welcome back to an empty battery room. Welcome back to the off-grid garage here. Welcome back to the first show in 2026. I hope you all had a good start into the new year and I wish you a lot of health and all the best for 2026. Yeah guys, what is going on? All the batteries have gone. We moved all the chaos back out into the garage because I need all the space here in the battery room tomorrow when the electrical contractor is coming and putting the air conditioning in finally. So this will happen tomorrow morning. It shouldn't take too long because I've done all the prep work already so far. They just need to get access to the switchboard here to do the electrical connection to the inverter, hang the aircon here on the console, put the pipework through, feed the pipes and cables through here and set up the outside unit. Piece of cake. Yeah, but because everything is so nice and clean and spacey in here now, I want to use this opportunity and build another battery. I have already announced this a couple of videos back when we built the first ever MB30 battery here in the off-grid garage. And we have now another 16 MB31 cells left over. And I want to use this special case here to build this battery. It is a completely disassembled battery box. It comes in all the bits and pieces. Everything is packed into a flat pack to save on shipping costs. And so far these ones are only a prototype from Yixiang, but I hope they go into production very soon with this design. So and today we want to have a look and put some batteries in one of these do-it-yourself cases. Yeah, because they're all coming in bits and pieces. I call them do-it-yourself kits. Because there's a lot of do-it-yourself you need to do to build up the case first. And then there's another do-it-yourself to do to put the batteries in and connect everything. I just realized the first battery we built a couple of videos ago where I put the wheels underneath, yeah? It carries the MB31 cells on top of it, just loose strapped together. And I've put this battery under this desk there. So in the middle of all this chaos, this is where I need to get this battery out and all the cells on top of it. So I need to move some batteries again and I finally got it out. It was there under the desk. It is like one of these puzzle games, you know. You've got these 3x3 or more parts and there's one puzzle piece missing and you need to move the existing puzzle parts into the gap in order to get all the other puzzles in the right order. That's how it felt like. So I had to move this one. I don't want to go into details here. Alright, here it comes. Here's our MB60 cell from one of the last videos. And we want to build MB60. Did I say MB60? MB30, of course. We want to build the MB31 with the do-it-yourself box on top of it. Here, these are all the 16 MB31 cells. And they need to go in there, need to be connected. And this case goes on top of this one. I just strip them all together so they are not falling down when I move the box. There you go. No harm taken. Put this box on top of this one, and there's a bit of overhang at the front because the do-it-yourself box is a tiny bit longer, deeper, and the holes don't line up here. Or what's going on? Come on, come on. We had this issue before that the holes are not lining up. See, there's a bit of a gap, and the same on this side. It fits at the back, but not over here. I loosened the feet a bit and moved them forward and backward on this side here, so further apart from each other, but it's still not enough to fit into the holes of the box underneath. There's a bit of unprecision in the manufacturing of these boxes. Okay, it fits now. Do not ask me in the comments what I did to make it work. Alright, there it is, the do-it-yourself box from Yixiang. Thankfully they have mounted the fire extinguisher already before we put the cells in. And we've got a fuse in here, 200 amps, 50 kiloamp breaking capacity, 110 volt DC. So that's nice. And it sits in the positive path. So battery positive, fuse, breaker, output. 2 terminals, that means it's a 200 amp JK inverter BMS version 19. You can see the new glass screen. Yeah, and everything else looks the same basically as with a normal do-it-yourself kit, except all these parts needed to be assembled and build the box first. What the hell happened here? That looks terrible. There's nobody cleaned up this PCB here. Is this the good one with the foam underneath? Yes, it is. It has support. When you plug in the connector here, it doesn't bend the whole PCB because the last mounting point is over there. And now they've put in some EVA tape foam underneath. So you can push as hard as you want and it doesn't bend the PCB anymore. That is a nice feature. Okay, let's take this all out and put the cells in, connect them, and we are ready in no time. It will be a very boring video. If you want to skip this video and come back later when we do some more solar stuff or whatever, I can fully understand this because we have just built one of these batteries here. I've just realized they put double hole pole terminal bus bars into this box again, and I've got only single pole. This doesn't fit. Let me have a look in stock what I have. That's the pack from last time, double hole terminals. Then all these ones I have, but they are not flexible. I really want flexible. We need these ones for the CATL cells. These are the pretty old ones. Not flexible. Not flexible. Not flexible. So, luckily I found 4 of these bags here. 4, 8, 12, 16 single hole flexible tinned copper bus bars. Whew. These are definitely the last ones I have in stock, so everything else is now double screw terminals. Next batteries I order, they need to have these double hole terminals. Double screw terminals. Yeah, they've got a hole, double hole screw. Yeah, and with this box as well, we've got 4 epoxy sheets here for the back and front. Probably 10 or so of these EVA tapes. So there's no epoxy sheet between the cells. Yeah, but we will go with what we have and build the box as per their design. Okay, so I have to interrupt the time lapse here because there is some EVA tape missing. We don't have enough. It stopped basically here. This was the last full sheet and I've now used my own, but these are only smaller ones I have. So they are not covering the whole area. And then we've got another piece over here, so probably just peace of mind, right? And I also stopped because I want to show you these ones here again. These are these thicker epoxy sheets they have designed for this do-it-yourself kit. And they go in 4 positions after 2 batteries from each side. And this will later be the slot where the temperature sensor slides in all the way, so it sits exactly in the middle of 2 batteries. And this is probably why the PCB is not cleaned up here in this area. They have removed the shorter ones with the ring lock, which are usually soldered to these PCBs, with these longer ones. This was a bit of a test or prototype box they have sent me here. So not all the material which is usually with the box may be in here, especially the bus bars. Yeah, but this is a good 6-7 millimeter thick epoxy sheet, and this goes basically in between cell, what do we have, 13 and 14. So next one goes here, and then we've got this slot here and can slide in the temperature sensor. How cool is that, right? Okay. Okay, last cell. Bit of EVA tape, bit of EVA tape. And here we've got the last epoxy sheet on the outside. So main negative of the battery is here, connects to the BMS, and main positive is here, connects to the fuse. And I have especially designed this compression plate now here with this fuse holder and use these isolators, and the fuse sits here on top of them. And this is the one, this is usually designed for the other batteries again. And it will sit on the fuse and here on the terminal of the positive. I'm just checking if they have cut the bus bar, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Do we have enough space down here? Yes, we have. And I think we are using this one for the circuit breaker and the fuse on this side. See, I had to actually disassemble the circuit breaker from the front panel to get access to the screws here. So when you buy a do-it-yourself kit from Yixiang, this is all pre-assembled, pre-cabled everything is ready, torqued and marked. But because this was a bit of a test balloon with the do-it-yourself box here, they have just put all the parts in the box and you need to do a lot of do-it-yourself. But usually, like in this box here, everything is pre-assembled. So you don't need to take out the circuit breaker from the front panel anymore. But while we have it in our hand, let's have a look at the specifications. 250 volt DC, ICU 25 kiloamps. So yeah, that's a decent breaker. But we have a 250 amp circuit breaker. Are these bus bars good for 250 amp? I'm not sure. And we also have a 200 amp fuse here. Are these bus bars good for 200 amp? I'm not sure. So I would really rather see a 200 amp circuit breaker and a 150 amp fuse in here. So I think Yixiang should make this selectable for the customers and they can choose whatever breaker size and whatever fuse size they want for their box. That would be the ideal solution, so everyone can choose whatever they need and whatever they want. See, this is how it would usually come from Yixiang directly. Yeah, all the bus bars are pre-mounted and torqued. And the offset here comes because when you have these double hole terminals, they stick a bit further to the middle of the cell. So that's why the offset is here. Yeah, they are in this location and these studded terminals here are just further to the outside. So that's why we are on an angle a bit. With the other double hole terminal, it would be perfect. And I also realized that they have forgotten to put in these smaller bus bars for the negative and also positive terminal. So I had to borrow some of one of the other boxes. I hate this. Now they are missing in the other box. Okay, let's have a look at the compression situation here with this box. And I'm tightening all the screws now all the way in and see what the cells do. Because we can use only 0.25 Newton meters per screw here on the front panel to achieve these 300 kilogram of force. And a quarter of a Newton meter is not much. It is probably a bit more than hand tight. But I want to see if I put them all the way in, if we are getting too tight. Because we have this thick epoxy sheet in between now. Yeah. Probably a bit too much. Yeah, they are super tight together, probably a bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I will loosen all these 6 screws again here and then torque them with a torque wrench to 0.25 Newton meters only. This is only a fixture basically for the cells. Now it is too tight. See, there's no space anymore. Compression plate is all the way in. And this is probably a bit too much. So this is a bit different from the other box we had before, where we could screw it all the way in and had a bit of wiggle room with the cells as well, which was perfect. But here, a bit too tight because of these thicker epoxy sheets, I think. So here, just to show you what 0.3 Newton meters are, yeah? If I use the extension with a 10mm nut on one of these screws, and I use my bare hands, you can see how the nut is turning, yeah? That is 0.3 Newton meters. So you use your bare hands basically. Yeah, that is 0.3 Newton meters. Yeah, I can just move them. They are a bit sticky with the EVA tape left and right. Good fixture. Alright, don't forget the positive cable for the BMS. This is all pre-configured usually, but here it is not. So I have to do a lot more do-it-yourself work to get this all working. I probably would have forgotten this. I was just going to assemble the front plate. And now I almost made a mistake. I connected the positive to the heating port. I couldn't remember having connected this cable up here on the BMS. It was always somewhere down here, but it is actually behind the negative bus bar down here. And it even says bad positive on the label. Yeah, that looks far more familiar. Alright, there it is. Positive, going through here, and then connect to the positive of the battery up there. So the communication cables, and don't forget the UART cable, which is the third one, which connects to the display. 2, 3 and 4. So UART goes to the display. This one still feels like connecting a floppy disk drive from back in the day. Alright, that's it. hopefully. Okay, let's just connect 2-3 screws here for the front panel to hold it in place. And here we can now connect the negative from the BMS, and here on this side the positive from the fuse to the circuit breaker. There's no torque setting provided for these screws here, so I'm just tightening them. Put a mark here. Same for the negative, no torque settings, just tighten them. Alright, so on the last step we just need to install the PCB holders. One on this side, other side. Shit. I just realized I've made a mistake. The temperature sensor is here, but our epoxy sheet with the slot is over there. It's supposed to be over there. Damn it. Alright, that's a f***up. I would need to disassemble the whole battery and move this epoxy sheet from here to over there. I'll leave it as it is now. The cables are long enough, so yeah, see on this side it is better, while the slot needs to go on this side. Yeah, there's, and here you can see it how it's supposed to be. Slot is over there, cable is over there, and it just slides in like this. Bam. And this is the access cable you have anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. It's just a bit of a up here, but yeah. Well, it's the first time I'm building a battery. Come on, guys. I think I made another mistake. I have to swap the PCBs as well. A needs to go over there, B goes over here. You can see it here. The cable with the black connector, which is supposed to be over there, is very short, so it can only reach this side. And the one with the white connector goes all the way over here. So these two need to be swapped. First time battery builder. And of course there's no manual provided, nothing. Which is super, super, super bad. And as always, my friends, Maddie to the rescue, because we don't have the appropriate and fitting link bus bar from one row to the other row. We have to use Maddie's flexible super bus bars here. And this makes the 48 volt battery now. Okay, the last two. And this one, and we are done. We built a 48 volt battery once again. I'm getting a bit of a routine into this now. So, and the last final step is to plug in the balance cables to the PCBs. Black on this side and white over here. See, from a pure design perspective, I should have had this slot on this side here because the cable goes this way anyway, and now it sits under the bus bar. See that? It is not really pushing it down or anything, but, and the same over here. See, the temperature sensor goes under the bus bar and then into the slot. If the slot would be here, would be better. So when you build this battery, you need to pay a bit of attention to all these small details. And I hope Yixiang is watching this and put all these details into a manual. Well, from pure sunshine when we started to almost a thunderstorm now. Alright, we have now finalized the battery, I guess. So let's turn it on and see what happens. That's always a good sign. And we go into packs. And we have a look at the cell voltages. We've got 82 millivolt deviation, but this is because cell number 1 is super low. And again, the first 4 batteries, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, these were the ones delivered by QSO. And we have tested this one here a couple of times. And of course I tried to recharge it to the same level as before, but I failed. And you can see here number 1, 2, 3 and 4. There are different voltages as all the other cells. Yeah, they all have 3.29 volts, but 1 to 4 completely different. But this doesn't matter. With the first full charge, we will observe that the JK inverter BMS here with the active balancer has no problem to top balance this battery fully automatically. So at the moment we don't need to do anything. You have a reading of all 4 cells, that is top. And we've got the voltage here, temperature sensors. That all looks good to me. I've done it a little bit different this time. I left the bus bars until the very end of the battery build, yeah? So I try to avoid to create this 48 volt battery too early. I left this step to the very last, yeah? I built everything else, finished the front with the BMS and all the cabling and bus bars, then had the PCB holders connected, and then in the final step put the bus bars on and tightened everything. And in the last step I put this link in, which actually makes 24 plus 24 volt a 48 volt battery. So I think this order gives a bit more safety, because in case you drop a tool or something, you've got very little chance that you hit both positive and negative of one battery cell. While here with the bus bars mounted in the drop a tool, you can make a short between this point and pretty much all the other points. So the chance making a short is far higher if you build your 48 volt battery too early. So you can leave this step here until the very last. I just thought I'd give this a try and see how it works. And I think this method is a bit safer. What do you think? I've also mounted the fire extinguisher already. Use these small cable ties coming with the Yixiang boxes and have the trigger over here. I think this one has only one trigger. There is not a second trigger. Different model. Alright, this is a very nice and beautiful battery, I think. We've got flexible bus bars. And once you get the right bus bars for your cells, you don't have these angles anymore like I have with a positive and negative here. Yeah, we've got a 200 amp fuse with 50 kiloamp breaking capacity, a 250 amp circuit breaker in the positive line of your battery. We've got the BMS in the negative, all the communication, everything is here at the front. We can already set the protocol to Victron here. Bam! Already done. Yeah, and then you don't need to go into settings ever again. I think it's a bit of a waste to put this feature here on the screen. Alright, let's have a very quick look here in the BMS. I think it's this one with the long number. Yep, it beeps. Okay, change password in time, that's fine. I think the balancer is already working. Yeah, look at this, the balancer is working, trying to balance out this cell number 1. Because we haven't set up a profile yet. Settings, password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Verify. Lithium iron phosphate. Yep. And we have 314 ampere hours. Done. And balance start voltage should be really at 3.45 volt. I've got this problem again. Look at this. See at the bottom here, this space. This sometimes happens if you drop down the keyboard and it doesn't pull up the whole screen again. I thought G-Kong has fixed this already, but apparently not. 19.10 it is. Oh, that is far behind. Alright, at some stage we have to update this one and then we fully charge it, watch the balancing happening and do a full capacity test on this battery here as well. Alright my friends, there you have it. MB31 cells with 314 ampere hours. This battery has close to 16 kilowatt hours now, and this is all mounted in the Yixiang DIY-DIY Kit. Yeah, as I said, this was a bit of a test balloon, a prototype situation, and I have forgotten quite a few things like these bus bars, and these PCBs need to be cleaned up then. Not enough sticky foam to mount all the cells. Yeah, eventually we got it done. As always, the links to these do-it-yourself kits and the cells are under the video. Alright my friends, thank you very much for all your support here. More videos are coming soon. If you like this sort of content, drop me a like. If you are new here, subscribe. And until the next video guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye bye.